Shantitonin enables you to sleep for success.
Amongst these populations, none of them are striving for longevity. They're not thinking about it. They're not going to the gym. They're not dieting. Their lifestyles are set up in a certain way that is conducive to them becoming centenarian, right? The foods they eat, the manner in which they interact with their community in a physical sense, all of these things kind of contribute to this set of parameters that you have kind of distilled down and canonized.
In America, we tend to pursue health. We find a diet, or we find an exercise program, or we get a coach, or we get on a supplement program, and we think, well, we got to find this program. We need the discipline, the focus of mind, and we're going to go after it. And the vast majority, 90+% of people fail at what they start at within a year.
We now know we all have the power with the scientific basis to actually live at least 15 years longer. There are 5 things that are pretty obvious and easy to do that'll give you 15 years. And that's just off the top of my head. Things like, exercise, the fasting, don't eat too much, eat the right foods, try to be plant-based, get sleep, have social network. That gives you 15 years. That's amazing. Right. About 80% of our lifestyle, 80% of our health in old age is due to our lifestyle and how we live.
Right.
And only 20% is genetic. And actually that's done by studying twins. Your genes are not your destiny. That's the good news. So what that means is it's up to you. And if you want to be frail or, to be honest, dead at 80, go for it. We know how to do that. Do everything that the marketing people want you to do. But fortunately, in part thanks to new media like this, we can actually all talk about what we think are the ways to extend lifespan and not be frail in old age. Like my father, I talk about him a lot. I'm very proud of him as a beacon of hope. At 80, he's still running around like he's 25. He's got no aches or pains, very sharp-minded, using all sorts of high tech, lifting more weights than I can, right. Literally. Well, I've come to the conclusion that aging is a condition. I will be bold and say it should be declared a disease. If you smoke, it increases your chance of getting lung cancer by about 5-fold. And we worry about that. We spend billions of dollars on trying to treat cancer and prevent smoking. Getting to the age of 60 increases your chance of cancer by 1,000-fold. Okay? Aging is the root cause of, by far, orders of magnitude, of all of these diseases that we eventually get. They're not separate things. Aging is what causes these. How many people do you know that get heart disease and Alzheimer's in their 20s? Mm-hmm. Very few. The reason is because the body is young enough to fend off these diseases. So my approach to this is that if we can figure out why we get old and how to reprogram the body, the cells in the body to be young again, we won't get those diseases. And even if we have those diseases, the body can heal itself like we were 20 again.
Mm-hmm. How good you can become in a sport may largely be dependent on genetics and luck. How long you're going to live in life may be largely dependent on genetics and luck. But how well you're going to live in the time you have left may be dependent on what you put in your mouth and the diet and lifestyle choices that you make. And so what we're trying to explain to patients is you're not going to live forever. You're going to die. There's been over 100 billion humans, modern humans born on the planet. There's 7.3 or 4 billion alive today, but there's only been 5 well-documented people that have lived past 117. So the thing is, you're not going to live forever, but you don't have to spend the average 9.6 years of debility or 17 years in poor health that the average American is spending, giving up, compromising the last decades of life that could be your richest decades of life because of chronic degenerative diseases, because we haven't taken control of our diet, sleep, and exercise patterns. And that's what we're trying to point is you may not be able to live forever, but you can reduce dramatically the years of debility that you have, your vulnerability to infectious disease, your likelihood of developing heart attack, stroke, and other debilitating conditions. That's where the big payoff is. Not living forever, but living well until you die, having a good life and then having a good death.
What about sleep? How important is sleep for longevity?
But what we know from animal studies is the following. If you restrict sleep from a rat for just 2 weeks, it'll develop type 2 diabetes. It's that important. So that's the main thing. What we also know is at the molecular level that if you disrupt your sleep-wake cycle, so we actually have proteins that go up and down that control our sleep-wake. All of us, most of our cells do that. If you disrupt that, you'll get premature aging. And guess what? The opposite is true. That as you get older, that cycle, the amplitude becomes diminished. And this is why it's harder to get to sleep as you get older, and then you got all sorts of problems. And I think what's going on is this positive feedback loop, which is a disaster in your old age, which is, right, you're aging, you can't at this moment totally prevent that. And then it's disrupting your sleep, then you get not enough sleep, and then that's going to accelerate your aging process. And so it's known that people who are shift workers are more susceptible to certain age-related diseases. So your bottom line, you definitely want to work on that. It's one of the reasons I have this ring on my finger, which helps me optimize my sleep and learn